Picture this: a nation nestled among the soaring peaks and sweeping valleys of Central Asia, a country more often celebrated for its nomadic heritage and dramatic landscapes than its technological prowess, suddenly thrusts itself into the heart of the global green energy revolution. Imagine if Kyrgyzstan, a land of less than 7 million people, scattered across ancient Silk Road passes and alpine meadows, were about to challenge not only its hydrocarbon-rich neighbors, but also the very foundation of its own energy system. What sounds like the plot of a speculative fiction novel is, in fact, the reality quietly unfolding in the 21st century. For generations, Kyrgyzstan's energy destiny was written by water. The Naran River and its tributaries have long powered the turbines of massive Soviet-era dams like Issyk-Kul, keeping the lights on in Bishkek, fueling factories in Osh, and irrigating the fertile Chui Valley. Hydropower accounts for more than 80% of the country's electricity production, a figure almost unrivaled in the region. Yet dependence on rivers comes at a price. Every winter, as temperatures plunge and river flows dwindle, blackouts sweep through villages and cities alike. The aging infrastructure, built decades ago, groans under the strain, with maintenance costs mounting and reliability faltering. And now, a new and existential threat looms: climate change. Melting glaciers, shrinking snowpacks, and unpredictable rainfall have begun to erode the very foundations of Kyrgyzstan's hydropower system. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change warns that Central Asia's water resources could decline by as much as 30% by mid-century. For a nation so deeply intertwined with its rivers, this is not just an inconvenience, it is an energy crisis in the making. To plug the seasonal gaps, Kyrgyzstan has grown reliant on imported fossil fuels, particularly gas and coal from Kazakhstan and Russia. This dependency exposes the country to volatile international prices, supply disruptions, and rising carbon emissions, an unsustainable path in a world racing toward net zero. Yet despite these mounting challenges, Kyrgyzstan's leaders have not stood still. Way back in December 2008, the government took its first major step toward a cleaner future, passing the landmark Renewable Energy Sources Law. This legislation aimed to open the door for wind, solar, and biomass energy, offering incentives for private investment and outlining a framework for integrating renewables into the national grid. For more than a decade, however, progress was slow. Projects stalled, funding trickled in, and the country's renewables share in the energy mix remained stubbornly low, hovering around 1%. Skeptics argued that in a land blessed with rivers, why look to the sun? But now, a seismic shift is underway. In a move that has electrified both domestic and international observers, the Cabinet of Ministers has given the green light to a colossal solar power initiative in the sun-bathed Issyk-Kul region. The project, planned to deliver a staggering 1,900 megawatts of solar capacity, would not only be the largest in Kyrgyzstan's history, but also rank among the biggest in all of Central Asia. To put this in perspective, the plant's output could exceed the entire annual electricity consumption of some neighboring countries. The choice of Issyk-Kul is no accident. This high-altitude basin, famed for its sapphire blue lake, the second largest mountain lake on Earth, enjoys more than 250 sunny days each year. The region's vast, flat expanses make it ideal for solar arrays, while proximity to existing transmission lines facilitates grid integration. Energy Minister Taalaybek Ibrayev has called the project essential for energy security and for keeping the lights on during the harshest winters. Environmental advocates are even more effusive. The United Nations Development Program in Kyrgyzstan describes the initiative as a concrete step toward achieving our sustainable development goals and a model for the entire region. But what does this mean in real numbers? According to projections from the Ministry of Energy, the Issyk-Kul solar plant could slash Kyrgyzstan's greenhouse gas emissions by approximately 44% by the year 2030. This is not mere symbolism. Such a cut would move Kyrgyzstan from a laggard to a leader among Central Asian states, striving to meet their Paris Agreement commitments. The government has set an ambitious target. By the year 2040, at least 1/10 of the nation's total electricity should come from renewables, with solar leading the charge. If realized, this would represent a 10-fold increase from today's levels. The plant's construction is only the beginning. Floating solar arrays, innovative platforms that rest atop reservoirs, are being seriously considered for the country's alpine lakes and hydropower reservoirs. This technology, pioneered in countries like the Netherlands and China, offers several benefits. It saves valuable land, reduces water evaporation, and can even boost the efficiency of hydropower by stabilizing water temperatures. If implemented on a large scale, Kyrgyzstan's reservoirs, perched at some of the highest altitudes in the world, could host floating solar farms unlike any seen before. International interest is surging. Russian nuclear energy giant Rosatom has announced plans to begin construction of wind and solar farms in Issyk-Kul by the year 2026, bringing both capital and technical expertise. The Asian Development Bank is stepping up as well, earmarking over $222 million United States dollars for state investment projects in the coming year. Meanwhile, the Eurasian Development Bank is committing more than $200 million to build a new 300-megawatt solar plant near Tokmak, with commissioning slated for late 2025. Even smaller projects are gaining traction. Just outside Kemen, a 100-megawatt solar plant, backed by a nearly $56 million investment, is expected to come online within 2 years. Each of these projects adds another piece to the puzzle, strengthening Kyrgyzstan's energy security and diversifying its economy. Yet for every grand announcement, there are sobering challenges. Energy expert Kanat Amankulov, writing in a recent policy brief, cautions that integrating a solar plant of this magnitude is not plug-and-play. Our grid was designed for hydropower, not for the variable output of solar. The heart of the issue is intermittency. Solar energy, by nature, fluctuates with the sun's daily and seasonal cycles. Without adequate energy storage, such as large-scale batteries or pumped hydro, surplus electricity generated at midday can go to waste, while shortages at night or during cloudy spells can trigger blackouts. Kyrgyzstan's electricity grid, much of it dating from the Soviet era, is already under strain. Transmission lines and substations, many built in the 1970s and 1980s, require urgent upgrades to handle new loads and prevent system instability. Experts estimate that modernizing the grid to fully accommodate almost 2,000 megawatts of new solar capacity could require investments of several $100 million. Advanced solutions, such as smart grids, real-time monitoring, and demand-side management, are being discussed, but will take time and political commitment to implement. Beyond technology, there is the human factor. For any energy transition to succeed, it must have the support of local communities. In the Issyk-Kul region, where tourism and agriculture are mainstays of the economy, some residents worry about land use, potential impacts on natural beauty, and the risk of displacing traditional livelihoods. The government has pledged to consult widely, offering compensation and retraining programs, and pointing to international studies showing that solar projects can coexist with ecotourism and even improve land productivity by providing shade for crops or pastures. Still, genuine local buy-in will be crucial. History offers cautionary tales. In countries from India to Morocco, renewable megaprojects have faced costly delays and protests when community voices were overlooked. The stakes for Kyrgyzstan could hardly be higher. If the grid cannot handle the new influx of solar power, winter blackouts might actually worsen before they improve, undermining public trust in the energy transition. The risk of stranded assets, billions of dollars worth of solar panels sitting idle, would haunt both domestic and foreign investors. On the other hand, if the technological, financial, and social pieces fall into place, the rewards could be transformative. Imagine a future just 5 or 10 years from now where Bishkek's skyline is dotted not only with Soviet-era apartment blocks, but also with gleaming rooftop solar panels. Picture the mountain villages of Narin, Jalalabad, and Batken, once at the mercy of winter power cuts, now enjoying reliable, locally generated electricity. Rural schools and clinics powered by the sun, farmers running cold storage for their crops, and entrepreneurs setting up digital businesses in places once left off the grid. With the CASA 1000 interconnection project expected to be operational by December 2026, Kyrgyzstan could even become an exporter of clean electricity to neighboring countries like Pakistan and Afghanistan, turning its green energy investment into a regional economic engine. Let us not underestimate the economic impact. The Asian Development Bank predicts that the renewable energy push could generate thousands of new jobs in construction, engineering, and maintenance. Local universities are already launching new programs in renewable energy technology, grid management, and environmental science, preparing a new generation of Kyrgyz engineers and technicians. Foreign direct investment is expected to surge, not just from traditional partners like Russia and China, but also from Europe, the Middle East, and East Asia, regions hungry for green growth and eager to diversify their energy portfolios. Minister Ibrayev highlights that each megawatt of new solar capacity brings us closer to energy sovereignty, creates jobs for our youth, and positions Kyrgyzstan as a leader in the global race for sustainability. The International Energy Agency, in its latest country assessment, calls solar the most cost-effective and scalable solution for Kyrgyzstan to diversify its energy mix and reduce dependence on volatile hydrological cycles. Still, the path ahead is anything but smooth. Integrating almost 2,000 megawatts of intermittent solar energy into an aging hydropower-centric grid is a colossal technical and logistical challenge. Battery storage systems, essential for smoothing out supply and demand, are expensive and still relatively novel in Central Asia. Pilot projects are underway, with international partners exploring lithium-ion storage, flow batteries, and even experimental hydrogen storage. But scaling these solutions from demonstration to nationwide deployment will require both vision and capital. From a regional perspective, Kyrgyzstan's green energy leap has the potential to reshape Central Asia's power dynamics. Historically, the region's energy map has been dominated by fossil fuel giants like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, whose vast oil and gas reserves often determined regional alliances and economic fortunes. By contrast, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, rich in water but poor in hydrocarbons, were frequently on the periphery. Now, with the world pivoting toward renewables, this balance is shifting. If Kyrgyzstan succeeds, it could emerge not only as a supplier of clean electricity, but also as a model for other mountainous landlocked countries charting their own course toward energy independence. International observers are watching closely. The United Nations, World Bank, and European Union have all cited Kyrgyzstan's solar ambitions as emblematic of a new, bottom-up wave of climate action emerging from developing economies. The World Economic Forum recently named Kyrgyzstan one of the top 10 countries to watch in the global energy transition, noting that small states can sometimes leapfrog legacy systems to adopt next-generation technologies more rapidly than larger, more entrenched economies. So, what broader lessons can we draw from Kyrgyzstan's renewable energy gamble? First and foremost, it demonstrates that even small, resource-constrained nations can take bold, decisive steps toward a green future, provided there is a combination of political will, smart policy, and strategic investment. Policymakers in other emerging economies may find inspiration in Kyrgyzstan's willingness to embrace risk and innovation rather than clinging to old certainties. For investors, the story is clear. The global race for clean energy leadership is wide open, and those who act early can capture new markets and unlock fresh value streams. For local entrepreneurs and job seekers, the message is equally encouraging. The renewable energy transition promises not just cleaner air and greater energy security, but also the chance to develop homegrown industries, from solar panel manufacturing to smart grid software development. Vocational training programs, university partnerships, and international exchanges are already laying the groundwork for a skilled green workforce. Of course, the challenges are real and must not be understated. Without sustained investment in grid modernization, advanced storage, and human capital, the risk of failure remains high. But with robust public-private partnerships, transparent governance, and relentless innovation, Kyrgyzstan's ambitions need not be a pipe dream. So where does this leave us? Standing at a crossroads, Kyrgyzstan faces a historic choice. Will it seize the opportunity to become Central Asia's green energy powerhouse, or will its ambitions be stymied by technical, financial, and social obstacles? The answer, as always, will depend on actions taken today, and on the willingness of leaders, communities, and investors to work together toward a common goal. In conclusion, Kyrgyzstan's audacious solar initiative is more than a national project. It is a test case for the world. It poses fundamental questions about how quickly and how equitably the global energy transition can unfold. If the nation modernizes its grid, invests in cutting-edge storage, and ensures that all stakeholders, from city dwellers to mountain herders, share in the benefits, then yes, Kyrgyzstan can rise to become Central Asia's renewable champion. With strong international support and unwavering local determination, it stands at the threshold of a true energy revolution. Here is a little-known fact. The floating solar platforms under consideration in Kyrgyzstan could soon make its alpine reservoirs the highest altitude solar power sites anywhere on Earth, eclipsing pioneering efforts in Europe and Asia. Imagine solar panels gleaming above the clouds, generating clean power for a new generation. The story of Kyrgyzstan is a reminder to us all. In the race for a sustainable future, boldness, innovation, and perseverance matter more than size. Will Kyrgyzstan set a new standard for sustainable development and inspire others to follow? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this journey into the renewable future inspiring, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most intriguing tech and economic transformations. Until next time,